In this video, we replace a harp pedal rod. Please note that neither the Venus Harp Factory nor I assume responsibility should you injure yourself, another, or your harp. Like a recipe, it is a good idea to watch this video all the way through before beginning. Please allow approximately 1 hour for the first 5 steps, approximately 2 business days for the shipment of the replacement part, and approximately another hour to complete the last few steps, unless you hire a professional regulator at that point. Let's get to it. Replacing a pedal rod. Hello, my name is Janelle Lake, and I'm the Artistic Director and Staff Harpist at the Venus Harp Factory in Chicago. I am not a regulator. First step, assemble these tools that you may already have. Towels. Grease stains are imminent. Newspaper, 1 or 2 paper clips, a tape measure, your tuning key, a flashlight or headlamp, and most importantly, safety goggles. You will also need a flathead screwdriver, vice grips, and needle nose pliers. Step 1. Set up your harp. That's Walter Kosicki Jr., the owner of Venus Harps. Now, I can lift a harp, but isn't it nice when someone who knows how to move harps safely lifts it for you? Here we show the harp going up onto the workhorses because that's what we have in the shop. At home, you can use a couch or a few cushions on the floor. By laying the newspapers below, we can hear and easily locate any screws that may drop. Step 2. Removing the action block. Locate your action block. You will be removing 2 screws as shown here. Perhaps pause this video to make sure that you are only unscrewing the action block. Using the flathead screwdriver, gently unscrew both screws. Then remove the block and remove the felt. Just like a magician. Now let's move down to step 3. Removing the base. Number 1 rule here, keep your face and hands away from the metal springs in the middle. They are quite literally spring-loaded and could hit with the force of a hammer. Harp makers were smart enough to fit the screws of the base to your tuning key. Using your harp tuning key, unscrew each of the 4 bolts. Unscrew the washer, but keep the pins in the base. These are specific pins, and it is easier to keep track of them if they stay in their holes. Remove the base and lay it like this with the bolts up. I'm putting towels over the springs. That way, if one accidentally does pop, the towels will absorb some of the shock. Then I remove the diaper of the harp. Just pull it out. Step 4. Separating the pedal and rod. Now is a great time to use caution. You're going to remove the spring of the rod we are working with. I'm working on an E pedal. Once you start removing the spring, do not let go. Hold on tight once you coax the notch of the spring out of its groove. The pedal will pop out and you can fully remove the spring. The pedal should now pull freely from the base. Look at the coupler which attaches the pedal to the rod that runs up the column. Move the pedal up and down. If your action moves, your rod is not broken, you just need another screw. Let's say, for today's purposes, that the rod is broken. Unscrew the coupling screw with your flathead screwdriver. Once it is out, the entire pedal can fold down. These parts fit comfortably in their places, so keep track of them. It's not a bad idea to make a chart which labels right and left screws respectively. Now, how about those vice grips? Vice grips may look like an instrument of torture, however they will make this task much easier. This is a standard pedal rod outside of the harp. Clamp your vice grips onto the rod or whatever you are gripping. It took me a few tries. Don't be discouraged. Turn the end of the vice grips to secure the pinchers in place. Don't be afraid to turn it a lot. Once they're clamped, give about a quarter of a turn more to make sure the grip is firm. Press the release button to open the vice grips. The release button is here. Step 5. Unscrewing the petal rod. Now that you know how to use vice grips, use them to grab the rod, not the coupler, and turn. And turn. Lefty-loosey. And turn. This will take longer than you might think. There is a lot of threading on these. You'll know when it's done because eventually the rod will pop and you can pull the rod out. About 95% of rod breaks happen just above the coupler. Here's a broken petal rod and a coupler that I'm laying out as if they were not broken. Good harp manufacturers should ask what size rod you need. Measure from the end of the coupler to the end of the rod. Step 6. Installing your petal rod. This is the view from the bottom or base of the harp up into the column. Locate the empty hole. That's what you're aiming your new rod at. Here's what your tubing assembly looks like outside your harp. The tubes keep the petal rods from vibrating on each other inside the column of your harp. You will need light to view up the column and a partner to catch the rod at the top of the harp. It doesn't really matter who is at either end as long as they are careful of the springs. One person pushes the rod from the base up through the column, and one person uses the paper clips to hold both the incoming rod and the part that it screws into. Using great communication, back, forward, etc., and patience, eventually you will be able to line them up perfectly, push the rod in, and screw it in. Remember how long it took to unscrew the rod? It will take just as long to screw it in. Replace the coupler screw. Professional regulators know how many turns to put on the coupler so that it is not too tight or causing too much stress on the new rod. Locate the notch in the spring which indicates the correct side to put the spring back. Replace the spring in the stud with the pliers. It takes quite a bit of force and finesse. Screw the base back on. Be careful to fit the petals into the slots. It's a firm fit, but you shouldn't have to force it. Stuff the felt back in, and be careful not to pry apart any individual rods. Make sure the block is fit in correctly, otherwise the screw holes won't align. Here's the diaper which keeps the tubing assembly from vibrating. Remembering caution with your face far from the springs, shove the felt up through the middle of the petals. This will take a bit of brute force, but be careful not to push against the petals or the springs. When the felt is completely inside, test out your new petal rod. Can you move it and all of the other petals freely? Congratulations! You now know how to replace a harp's petal rod.